With the release of Ragnar Prime into Rise of Kingdoms, the investment meta has definitely changed, and the fact that we are seeing 3 more commanders coming out very soon means that the investment tier list is going to need an update. So today I'll be updating my investment tier list, predicting the best commanders for you to invest in as of November in 2024. So if you're interested in the best investments right now in Rise of Kingdoms, who you should be investing in, and even if I think the next commanders will be good investments, you want to stick around till the end of the video. Now, quickly, before I go straight into the tier list, I will as always, go over the criteria I'm using, and I would like to really reiterate something. These investment tier lists are investment lists. It doesn't matter if the commander is amazing right now, it is whether or not I think they're going to hold a lot of future potential. Do I think a commander is going to have 2, 3, 4, 5 years of value? Or do I think they're just really meta at the moment? If you want meta at the moment commanders, my open field tier list is what you're looking for. But in terms of future investment, stuff that you're looking to have in your account that's going to give you value for the longest amount of time, that is what my tier list will be looking at. So I'll be looking at how diverse the commander is. Can you pair them with a lot of stuff? Are they going towards the new meta? Because a lot of troop types have different metas. Are they really, really new? The age often does come into account because Lilith rarely has ever given a commander a brand new release and they die like a year later. It's only ever happened like once or twice with commanders like Sargon, and they're really rare and far between. So it's a good bet that a newer commander generally does have a longer lifespan. And the last thing you'll look at is, of course, still their open field capability. If a commander's brand new and they're absolutely rubbish, obviously they're not going to get an amazing rank. But if they're brand new, they're doing pretty good, and they've got a lot of diversity and a lot of meta capabilities, and they're molding around the new meta, they will be getting higher ranks. That's kind of how this tier list is going to go. So keep that in mind when it comes down to the investment. That is what we're looking at. It's not really just the open field performance right now. It is kind of a collection of a bunch of different things. Other than that though, with that all out of the way, let's switch over to the tier list. Now here is the investment tier list, and today we're going to be ranking all the commanders. As you can see here, I even have the newest commanders who aren't in the game yet. The reason I'm able to do this list is a prediction. So obviously, I'll be going off a whole lot of stuff. There's a myriad of criteria, and they don't really have to be in the game for me to fully give them an investment rank. With the 4 new commanders, or 3 new commanders, the reason I'm doing them early is I'm not going to make another tier list, really. This will be my only tier list until we see cavalry. So I feel it's best I just make one now, because I wouldn't make one just for the siege. It wouldn't make sense. But I think Ragnar is definitely changing up the meta quite a bit, so it is worth making a list for him. But other than that, the 3 new commanders, the 2 leadership, and the 2 new range commanders will be in today's list, so do keep that in mind. The ranking might not be 100% accurate for them, but you can kind of gauge their strength. Other than that, there are going to be 60s, the best invest. These are top of the top investments. There's nothing even close to them. Amazing. These commanders are really good. Maybe there's 1 or 2 small things they're missing. Risky for now. Often, commanders are about to enter a new cycle. So if you're at infantry, then archers will probably be risky investments because there are new archers coming very soon. Niche, I mean, they're okay for some commanders, but often they're not your best choice. Bad, you can barely get away with them, but I wouldn't do it. And never, they're just the worst of the worst. Starting off with Gorgo, I'm going to put her in risky for now. Infantry are, I'm pretty sure, due for a garrison next, and that means she could be seeing either getting replaced or she could get amplified. So if you're a garrison player and you're looking to have a garrison, then she could be a really good option, or maybe she just isn't going to be the best choice, as she could get replaced by a better garrison. Ragnar, the newest commander added to the game, Ragnar Prime, I'm going to put him in amazing. I'm tempted to put him in the best investment, but there's a few things that kind of hold me back. He's not really good with Leo Chair. I mean, that's just kind of an obvious fact at the moment. And also the fact that Ragnar is in a bit of a weird situation in terms of the fact that he's not actually a smite commander. That's kind of what holds him back, but he's really good with CPO. So I don't know if he's the best investment for brand new players, someone who's just made it to like Season of Conquest. I wouldn't get him. You'd probably get Leo Chair first, or someone that only has a Leo Chair. Again, I probably wouldn't get a Ragnar. So these 2 things kind of make me say Ragnar could be a better investment if he was a smite commander, but he just isn't at that power level for me to say he's the best investment in the game. He's a really good AoE strong commander. If you have a CPO Africanus and you don't have a good pairing for him, or you want to replace Guan, he's a great choice. I don't think he's going to lose value anytime soon, but I think Ragnar Prime isn't the absolute most meta. Who is though? Leo Chair, definitely a best investment in the game. There is pretty much no one close to him. Ethelfled, technically she's free, but I will just put her in the bad investment because she's not very strong. I'll put the leadership commander in niche. I think Philip is good. I don't see how he could be bad on the open field, but he's a very niche commander. Most players who are running under 5 marches wouldn't consider him, and even if you are, you'll probably get a Belisarius Prime before you do get him. So keep that in mind. I think Philip II looks really decent. I just don't know how powerful he will end up being. It is just kind of down to how he releases, obviously, but even then, just reading through his kit, he doesn't have the most game-breaking kit we've seen for a leadership open field commander. He's got potential, but I just don't think he's going to be there for the normal player. Most normal people wouldn't get William. Wouldn't get Philip. It wouldn't make sense. He's just a bit more of a niche commander. Bit too much risk in him. Probably not the best for a small murder ball because he boosts up to 5 marches. So just keep those things in mind. Nevsky's going in risky for now. He's an okay, or at least he's a very good commander, but just because there are Cavs technically as your next commander cycle, he's a risky pickup at the moment. I wouldn't get him. I don't see what could happen with the new Cavs. There's a chance he gets replaced. There's a chance that he gets overthrown. There's a chance that he gets taken out the meta. There could just be a much better cavalry around the corner very soon. So if you can, I'd be avoiding pretty much all cavalry. You'll notice today, almost all of the Cav commanders will be in risky for now. Nevsky is no exception. Alex, he's niche. He's good, but you'd rather get a William Wallace nowadays. If you're in KVK 3 and KVK 2 and you really want a commander, you can get him, but he wouldn't be my go-to. Chandragupta's bad. He's just not that strong nowadays. Charles Martel, same thing. CJ, same thing. Not the most amazing. And then moving on to Stefan III, I would say that he's kind of looking like a bit of a niche investment as well. I wouldn't say he looks like the strongest range commander. His kit is a little bit weird. There's a lot going on there. He's reducing his own defense. It's just a bit complicated. I don't think he's going to be the strongest of the current 6 that will be in the game. He doesn't look bad. I guess if you're a ranged main, I'd pick him up. He's got the potential to go towards the amazing tier, but I just don't think he is that top of the top commander. So keep that in mind with Stefan. I think he is a niche commander. Just not going to be the most game-breaking. Also, again, keep in mind, Lilith was saying the upcoming range commander releases will most likely be a little bit weaker. So I think that Stefan has a chance for that to happen, him being a bit of a weaker commander. And reading through his kit kind of does look like the same thing. I'll also do the same thing with John. I read his skills, and I don't know if this is a typo because this has just come out like an hour. It is written in a way where it looks like if your opponent is not in range of you, so if you're not in melee range, he does more damage. Now, if that's the case, I could see him being amazing because he'll be the only range commander who does more damage to faraway targets, which would make you stronger. But if that is just a typo or I am reading it wrong, I would say that he's probably a niche commander. I'll quickly pull his skills up on screen just so you can see. And as you can see here, this is his active skill. He deals range direct damage to a target troop, damage factor 900, and 1600 if the target is not within melee range. But then the upgrade preview, damage factor 900 range, damage factor 1600 melee. So it's a bit backwards. I'm not sure if that's just a mistype or if they just wrote it in wrong. It's a bit of a confusingly worded skill. I think most range commanders generally don't have their skills written like that, but if he is how that is written, he does more damage if your targets are not within melee range. He's going to be a very good commander. Not to mention the rest of his kit looks pretty good. I think I'll leave him in amazing just because of how nice his kit looks, but I think Stefan is probably more of a niche choice. All the gathering commanders are just a never invest. So all 3 of them, Cleopatra, Ishida, like I always say, obviously not going to be a good investment because they are just not very good for anything besides gathering. YSS, never invest. Gilgamesh, he's bad nowadays. He can be okay in some rally situations against the new garrisons, but it's super, super niche. Like, I never really see it run. Speaking of niche, I'll throw Attila in the tier as well. Edward is a never invest. El Cid is a never invest. Frederick is a never invest. Hannibal Barca, never invest. Honda, I'll also put him in niche. We are seeing a new leadership commander. I think Philip would be a better choice over Honda, even if you aren't running 5 marches. Maybe in a rare situation, Honda would be better, but I think that Philip's buffs will give you more value than going with Honda. So keep that in mind. Philip, probably a better investment than Honda, at least in the current meta. Xiao Xiao, he's a bad investment. Okay for Barb Forts. Scipio, I'll put him in amazing. I did knock him down before, but with the release of Ragnar, he's gained a bit of a new wind. I would say he's definitely much stronger now, and it is a very, very good march. It's arguably like the 2nd strongest infantry march in the game. In terms of fully investing in him, I'm not 100% on the... I put him maybe like in the risky. I think he's still a bit risky because we don't know if Lilith is going to fully commit to the whole skill damage, or if it was just a way to give him a bit more life. I think he'll be the top of the risky tier. I'm just kind of on the fence about it in terms of very future potential. For a year or so, I would say he's an amazing choice. 2 years, maybe not going to be the most amazing because he's already 2 years old, and we've noticed the 3 commanders that came out at the same time are starting to lose their value. Guan Yu, he's a niche commander, very old, kind of losing his value a little bit. William Wallace, I'll still leave him in the best investment. He's up there at the strength with Leo Chair. They're kind of the best pairing in the game right now, so it doesn't make sense to ignore him. Bertrand, he's a bad choice nowadays. Nebu, he's niche, good for 3 to 4 Archer Marches, but not my go-to. CY, again, also niche, good for Garrison, but again, not my 100% go-to. Joan, risky because we are seeing new calves very soon. Arguably, she could be a best or an amazing, but just because there are new calves around the corner, she is a risky investment right now. Once we see the new calves, I'll be able to adjust the list and put her in a more adequate tier. Jadwiga is a never invest. Jan Ziska, probably a bad investment, maybe going towards a niche investment. Cavs are due for a rally next, so technically we're not even going to see anything with Justinian in a long time. So technically we're not going to see anything with Jan Ziska for a long time, but right now he's not the most meta Garrison. I'm going to put Caesar in a bad investment. He's not as good as a lot of the other generic commanders. Commanders like Honda, Mehmed, and Philip II will probably be better than Caesar in most situations. Lubru, never. Mehmed, same power as Honda. I'll put them together. Constantine, good for Canyon, good as a Garrison, good in terms of just being a tanky march in KVK2. For most players, not a go-to, but he is very niche, so I think that this is like the best tier for him. It pretty much encompasses everything he does. Mulan, she's bad nowadays. I would have put her in niche before, but with the release of Philip II, there's almost no reason to get Mulan. There is just a better possible Trajan pairing. Zenobia, also bad, not the most amazing Garrison nowadays. Ragnar, not prime, just normal one. I would never invest in him. Leo Chair, that's a second one. Boudica, she's probably in the niche tier nowadays. She's just not the most overpowered. She's good for like 3 Archer Marches, but that is just not the most amazing thing in the game. So 3 Archer Marches I think is relatively fair for Boudica, and that's why I wouldn't pick her up right now. She's probably got like a year or so maximum value left in her, which just kind of means I wouldn't pick her up at the moment. Khan, almost a never invest unless you're a KVK2 rally. I would say Harold's a bad choice, not the best, could be worse, so he's not the absolute worst, but definitely there are better commanders. Henry, also probably a niche. I mean, he's a decent 3rd or 4th Archer March, similar to Nebu. Has his uses still, but isn't going to be the most meta. Moctezuma is useless. Flavius, pretty much also useless. Scipio Melianus, probably a risky investment. He's got a lot of open field potential at the moment. Like, he's not horrible, and he's got a fair amount of rally strength at the moment, but he isn't the most insane. So I'd say he's risky. We could see him become better with the next commander release for infantry, or we could see him lose a lot of value. It kind of does depend on where they go with it. If we see more smite commanders who kind of synergize with him a bit, we could definitely see a stronger Scipio Aemilianus, but if we do see some commanders who don't synergize too well with Scipio, then we may not see him be in the most meta position. Zulang, easily one of the best investments in the game, I would say. Hacho Bing, probably risky as well, just because there are new calves around the corner. I can't justify putting him a tier up, mainly because we could see some new calves who completely wipe him off the board. Tarek's a niche investment. He's, again, probably around the same power as Henry, good for 3 to 4 infantry marches, but wouldn't be my go-to. Leonidas is a never. Pakal, probably bad nowadays. There are better commanders out there, and a lot of archers are really countering him, just hitting him a lot harder than they used to. Heraclius, still a really, really good generic Garrison. He's been running my whole KVK and still getting really good trades. Sargon, niche, similar to Henry, similar to Tarek, good for 3 to 4 marches. Thutmose is also, I would put him in the bad tier. He's okay, KVK 1 and 2. He just wouldn't really be my go-to. If you're spending money though, you could definitely pick him up. Artemisia, she's bad nowadays, only really good with Boudica, and she's starting to fall off. Pyrrhus, similar story to Thutmose. If you get him KVK 1 and 2, it's worth it. Otherwise, I wouldn't really choose him. Justinian, niche, he's a rally and a DPS commander on the open field, so he's got his position, but he's not that amazing. Cyrus, also a bad commander nowadays, mainly because when it comes down to it, Cyrus is not the most meta compared to a lot of the commanders. Gajamata, probably in risky because we're about to see some new range commanders and he isn't the most overpowered. Gonzalo, though, I'll leave in the amazing tier. I think he's got a lot of potential with some of the new range commanders. I think Stefan or John, I forget which one, but I think it's Stefan, gives themselves a normal rage damage boost, and Gonzalo and his other commander are doing smite damage. So that should be pretty nice for their kit. It should allow them to do more damage and does give them a little bit of potential. Margaret, I will put her into the risky because there are, again, new range commanders and she's not the strongest. Herman, he's going to go into amazing. I'm knocking him down from the best investment, mainly because he's a good choice still nowadays, but he's starting to get a bit older. That means he's going to obviously lose more value faster, and we're moving a lot away from skill damage. So not many high skill damage commanders are like coming out at the moment. The most recent would probably be like Ragnar, and other than that, archers are going towards, at least right now, true damage and mighty healing. So there is a chance that Hermann does lose some level of value. I will also put Ashurbanipal into amazing, but probably towards the bottom of the tier, looking to get a rank down, at least probably within the next couple of updates or the next 2 or so commander release cycles, just because he is kind of in a weird position. Shajar, I'll put her in amazing investment. She was best invest. I think that was a bit of an aggressive move last time. Amazing is fair. She's very risky at the moment, if anything. She's kind of risky in a weird way. She's very good on the field right now, and she's really, really new, so she's not as risky as the commanders below her, but there is a chance that we don't see a mighty heal meta. There's a chance that Lilith just gives up on that, and Shajar would end up getting ranked down if that was the case. Minamoto, I mean, he's a niche. If you're spending money KVK 1 and 2, he is really good. Ditto, she's an okay Archer Garrison right now, so I'll put her in the bad tier, but not your go-to. Amanatori is pretty much useless. Theodora useless. Ramsey's useless. Richard, good for KVK1 barb farming. William, I've heard some good stuff about William with Philip II, and I think that it is fair to leave him in that niche category. Trajan, risky. I think I'm putting him in risky because if Philip II turns out to be an amazing commander and he works really well with Trajan, we could see a bit of a buffing march. But if we don't see that, then there's a chance that Trajan ends up getting knocked down to the bad tier, which if you invested in him, you wouldn't really want. So Trajan, I think, is risky for now, at least in my current opinion. Belisarius Prime, also risky for now, just because we are seeing new calves very soon. Saladin is probably, I'll put him in bad. He's getting a bit of value because of the release of the Mighty Heal Commanders, but again, he wouldn't be your 100% go-to. Zhang Yu is a niche. I mean, 5 or 6 cab marches, you get away with it. Even 4 cab marches is pretty good, but he just wouldn't be my 100% go-to option. Eleanor, probably a niche. She's a good cab garrison for some situations, but she's not the most meta in the game. YSG, also niche, really decent open field commander, but not the most overpowered. Barber, probably a niche as well. More range commanders coming soon, but he again is not the top of all the range commanders. Takeda, niche because he works well with Attila. Actually, I put him bad because he only works well with Attila, and they're really only for rallying. Damaris, also bad. And then finally, we have Wizard Tian, and she is just pretty much a never invest. I'd never even consider her. Other than that, this is the final tier list. Let me try and fully reorganize everything. So this is kind of a rough ordering of the commanders, in my opinion. The siege commanders and the new commanders themselves, I wouldn't 100% take this list as like a set factor of whether or not you invest in them, just because they are still not fully in the game. So the leadership and the 2 siege commanders that are about to release, don't take their position 100%. It will definitely, or at least most likely, change upon their release. I'm going off some simulator results I've seen with Philip II and some personal opinions on his kit. And then the other 2 engineering commanders, pretty much just opinions on their kit because they don't have simulator tests right now. So when it comes down to it, these range commanders definitely wouldn't 100% take their opinion fully. There's probably a few more people with a bit more expertise to give an opinion on them. But I do think that if John's kit is correct, then he looks to be really powerful. If it's written wrong, or maybe I'm reading it wrong, then maybe he'll be down in that niche tier, and then we'll probably stick with Gajramata in the amazing tier. But if his kit is right, he'll be a really unique and fairly powerful range commander. Other than that, I think this is a relatively good tier list. I think that Ragnar is worthy of the amazing tier, and a lot of the calves are just not in the higher tiers because we are seeing calves very soon. So if people say, why is Nevsky in the risky for now, and why is Joan in the risky for now? I'll probably say you haven't watched the full video, and you don't know what the tier means, because it doesn't mean they're bad, it doesn't mean they're going to be bad investments in the future. It just means right now we don't know what the new calves could be like. They could be ridiculous OP, they could be absolute rubbish, it could definitely change where all the cav commanders end up sitting, so I'm putting them all in risky. But once we see these new calves, I'll be able to move all the old ones around, I'll put them into tiers that they're deserving of, which means that you'll be able to fully decide at that point. But for now, I wouldn't do it. I'd wait till the new calves release to see what we're looking at. And considering usually after leadership we get commanders in a month or 2, it shouldn't be too long until we see the next calves. Maximum 3 months, I would say, and then we'll see some form of these cavalry commanders. Other than that, I just want to say to everybody who came out and watched today's video, I still am running a Discord server. A lot of people end up forgetting about the Discord server, but the link to the server will be in the pinned comment and also in the description. It's an amazing place just to get access to if you want to talk to me, ask me questions, if you want to complain about the tier list to me, or you want to ask other players questions about your equipment, you want to ask me about your equipment, your commanders. It's the best place to do it. The link will be in the pinned comment and the description. There's like over 800 people in the server. It's one of the bigger Rise of Kingdoms servers out there, so I highly recommend joining it. Other than that, I just want to say I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.